Good morning and welcome to the Install and Secure a Home Wireless Access Point series. This is part 1 of 8 of this series, understanding the basic features and settings of a wireless access point. A little bit about me. I am Nevri Berry, that's pronounced Nevri, like your knee. I've heard everything from Navery to Neverly. I'm not sure where the L comes from. I'm a father of two young men. I have an 18-year-old and a 13-year-old. I recently retired after 21 years in the U.S. Army. 20 plus years information technology experience. And the last 8 years I served as a cyber operations officer. Also, as you can see, I have a few industry level IT certifications. Any questions about me? Should you need to reach me outside of class today, this is my contact information. I'll give you a few minutes to jot down anything you need. At this time, if you don't mind, can we just go around the room and give me a brief introduction about yourself, just your name, what you do for a living, or if you're in school. What are your expectations from this class, and what experience do you have as far as installing a wireless access point at your home? Start with you.
My name is Jim Hall, and I do instruction and also cybersecurity for a living. I just want to learn a little bit more about wireless access points, and my expectations are essentially, or my experience is I have a little bit of experience with wireless at home.
All right.
My name is Leslie Gaston. I'm a student, and my expectations is learning exactly what wireless access point is, and I don't have any experience with it.
My name is Jack Country. I am a full-time college student, and my expectation is to learn more about the wireless access points, and I have no experience.
All right. All right.
My name is Essence Moss. I'm a self-employed hairstylist. My expectations are to learn whatever information I can learn, and I have no experience with it.
Okay.
My name is Sabrina. I'm working in Amazon, and my expectation of this class is to learn about the wireless point and how to use it.
I'm Erin Hopkins. I'm a behavior therapist for kids with autism. My expectation for this class is just to, I guess, learn more information about what you're telling us, and the experience I have is learning.
Okay. All right. Nice to meet you all. Thank you very much. Just a quick admin notes. We'll start out with everyone in the room probably has a cell phone. So if you have your phone with you, please put it on silent or turn it off. If you're expecting a phone call that you need to take, please step outside of the class and take that call as to not disturb the rest of the class. This class will meet for the next 4 Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. The restrooms are right down the hall, at both ends of the hall. There are refreshments downstairs, right in front of the elevators that you probably came up. They have light snacks and cold drinks and warm drinks. And the emergency exits are also at both ends of the hall. You can follow the lighted exit signs. Any questions about the admin notes? All right, if no further questions, let's get ready to get started. If everyone's ready? All right, everyone's comfortable. Everyone should have a set of handouts that I passed out a little earlier, and ink pen so that you can write on them should you need to take any notes. At any point in this class, you're welcome to ask any questions. You can just chime in and ask anything that you have. All right, the course requisites. In this course, I just need you to be comfortable using an internet browser. And some of you might say, well, what is an internet browser? Internet browser is that little page that you bring up when you type in www.amazon.com and you go and you do all your shopping, or google.com and you're doing all your searching. That's your internet browser. It could be Firefox, Internet Explorer, or Chrome. You can read through these reviews, the handouts that I have. They have a little more information about some of the slides that we're going to go through this morning, and just need your eagerness to learn. All right, as I stated earlier, this is part 1 of an 8-part series, understanding the basic features and settings of your home wireless access point. Our learning objectives this morning are, what is a wireless access point? What materials are required to install a wireless access point? How do we gain access to the wireless access point once we get it installed? And why do I even need to change the default settings on my wireless access point? And then we'll just go over some of my recommended setup and security recommendations. So, you may ask, well, what is a wireless access point? Wireless access points they come in different shapes and sizes, and you've seen them all over the place, nowadays. You may go to Starbucks or even to the bookstore, and they'll have wireless access. Some people call it the Wi-Fi or your access point or a WAP. Some people say, can I connect to your hotspot? Hotspot is more of a location. Like when you go to Starbucks, you're in a hotspot and they have wireless access. Or you may go to your friend's house and you say, hey, can I connect to your wireless? So these are all terminology that we use when we are talking about connecting to a wireless access point. This little device right here is the device that we'll be using today. This is actually a D-Link wireless access point, and as I said, they come in different shapes and sizes. This is just one of the smaller ones that you can see on the market. What materials are required to install a wireless access point? So you need the wireless access point itself, and you're going to need Ethernet cable. This is like the cable that when you plug your computer into the little router or modem that you have at your house. And then a power cable and instruction manuals that we all read or not at all. And then outside of that, usually they'll come with a little disc with installation software. I've never personally used that installation software because everything that you need to set up is usually built into a web page that's already on this device. And lastly, you need access to the internet. So when you called Charter or Comcast or Verizon, they brought out a little box they set in your house. Some of those already have wireless access built into them. Some companies don't, and that's why you would need to purchase a wireless access point to add to that device. And you just need the ability to connect to that device. So let's get to know a little bit about the actual wireless access point. What's going on the outside of the access point? On a lot of the common wireless access points that you see today on the market, this is some of the basic features that would be on the outside, which, of course, this is where you plug in your power cable. There's going to be some type of on-off switch, be it a button or a flip-up switch. This reset button, I like to call it the get-out-of-jail-free button. This button is for if you've already went in or someone else has went in and made changes to this wireless access point and you don't remember what that password was. Well, you can reset this thing and it just sets it back to the factory settings as if you just bought it out of the store. This USB port is on a lot of the wireless access points today. You can plug in a thumb drive or a hard drive, and anyone that connects to your wireless network could share music or videos through your entire network. This is the plug for plugging in your internet. This is where you're going to plug this wireless access point to the internet box that your internet service provider brought to your house. And then these 4 ports over here are these are the ports that you're going to plug in any desktop computers or printers that do not have wireless connectivity. Any questions about this part? So once I get my wireless access point installed, now how do I gain access to the access point in order to make my changes so I can set it up the way I want to set it? Either on your phone or on your computer. In this case, I use a computer. I'm going to do a search for what wireless access points are around my area. And in this case, like I said, we're going to use this D-Link wireless access point. And the default for this access point is D-Link. So I found D-Link when I did my search. And I'm going to click on D-Link just like I would at Starbucks. I would click on Starbucks. And once we are connected to it, we're going to go into our browser, and the address, just like if I was going to Amazon.com, at the top of my browser, I would type in www.amazon.com. In this case, the address for this device is a set of numbers. It's called the IP address. And that set of numbers is 192.168.0.30. And that's what I just typed in here into this address bar. And once I hit enter on that, it's going to ask me for the username and password for this device. Like I said, this is still set to the default, and the default username is admin, and the password, there is no password. You just hit enter. And that brings me to this first page. And like I said, I never use the installation CD that comes with the kit when you first buy it, because there's a wizard button that actually takes you through the exact same steps as the CD. And so that's why there's no need to use it. But I personally like to set up my wireless access point the way that I want, with all my preferences in it. So I just go straight and I do the manual method and step through it the way I would want to step through it. So when you hook this device up to your internet box that your internet service provider brought, you saw that, hey, I'm on the internet, I can go to Amazon, I can go to whatever shopping page you want to go to. Why would I even want to make any changes? Why even change it from the default? It works. And they say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So the reason why mainly is security. If you left this thing as you saw it out of the store, where I showed you that I searched for D-Link and I click on D-Link, and there was I didn't have to put in any password. I was just able to connect to it. So if I'm driving down the street, or if I'm in your neighborhood and I see one that says D-Link, I'm going to say, hey, that's still set to default. I can join it. And when I click on it, it doesn't ask for any password. Now I can use it to surf the internet, or if I'm a bad guy, I can actually use it to get into the computers that you have hooked to it, and actually now that's where your identity theft and stealing credit cards and stuff like that, that's where that comes into play. So security is by far the main reason. Second, you can just do fun things like personalize your broadcast name, your wireless name. So, you might want to have Cassandra's house or the party house, whatever you want to name it, big in Texas. So now that's something that, anybody that's searching for a wireless internet, they'll see these little funny things pop up on their phone or their computer. So a few of the basic recommendations I have as far as setting up your wireless router would be change that default username and password. You don't want to keep it as, if somebody does get access to it, it was just admin and they don't even have to put in a password. Now they can go and make changes and actually lock you out of your own device. And you can't connect to your internet, and you can't even make the changes to fix it. I mean, luckily you have that reset button that allows you to go back and reset it and fix it. But let's mitigate that by just setting a decent username and password up front. SSID. SSID is that broadcast name that you see when you're at Starbucks. That's Starbucks. That's the SSID. Or whatever you name yours, that's what you're going to search for on your phone or your device. And then the last change that I recommend as a basic level is changing that security type. Your security type is, it could be completely disabled as this comes default, no security at all, or it can be what's called WEP. That was when they first started making wireless access points, they said we need some type of security to secure these things. And so they made what's called a wired equivalent protection. So it's as protected as it is if you plugged in a cable. But that turned out to be something that's very easy. My 13-year-old son can actually break a WEP encryption key. So they came out with a solution to that, and they made what's called WPA. WPA, after a while, now a little bit more experienced people actually found a way to actually get around that and break those keys. So what's out right now is WPA2, and that's the most secure security system that you have available to you for right now, for home wireless networking. So, like I said, the first thing we want to do is change that administrative password. So as we're into our router now, we're going to go into our administrative stuff, and we're going to go into tools, and we're going to make a better password than no password at all. So just make something that you can remember. So if you need to get back in and make new changes, you can make changes to your wireless access point, but at the same time, it keeps other people out. Then after that, we said, let's change that SSID. Let's change that wireless name that we're going to see. And so right now, when I did that search earlier and you saw D-Link pop up that I clicked on, that I connected to it, that's it, right? That's it right here, the SSID, and that's where it says D-Link. You want to change that to whatever you want to name yours. In this case, maybe we'll change it to Happy School, since this is a school environment. And lastly, we're going to go right here, and you see the security, like I said, is disabled. And we don't want no security whatsoever on our router, so we're going to change that. And we're going to go down and we're going to change it to WPA2, which I said is the most secure that we have available to us right now for our home wireless access points. And after we click on that, it's going to give us a chance to put in a password for our home wireless access point. And that's going to be, when I come to your house, I say, James, hey, can I connect to your wireless? And he says, yes. I find James House Wireless. And then my next question is what? What's your password? Exactly. So now we've set that password right here, and we click apply, and the wireless access point will just automatically, it'll save everything that we just configured into the wireless access point, and it will reboot the access point. When it comes back up, I'm not going to be able to connect to it anymore because I told my computer to connect to D-Link. But now I need to go connect to Happy School, which is going to ask me for this password. Yes?
So if you change the password for some reason, if too many people have it, does that kick everybody out, or will they still have access to it?
Great question. So once I go in and I change that password, because now all of a sudden I'm mad at James and I don't want him on my Wi-Fi anymore, I go in and I change this password. Now I got to let everybody else in the room know that, hey, the new Wi-Fi password is school is fun. Don't tell James. All right? Great question. Any other questions on this slide? So in today's lesson, we discussed what is a wireless access point, what materials are required to install a wireless access point, how do you gain access to the wireless access point setup page, why should you change the settings from default when you buy this wireless access point from the store, and we discussed some of my recommendations for basic setup and security. Anybody have any questions about what we discussed today?
So you were talking about the SSID change?
Yes.
So can I name that anything, or is there some security criteria I need to have to change the name?
You can change the broadcast name, that SSID, as you said. You can change that to anything you want. Just one rule I keep to myself is I wouldn't make it anything that I wouldn't want my mom to see. And so, when you put that on there, it broadcasts out to everybody that can see it. And it could be, as far as, if you're in a neighborhood, it could be that entire neighborhood can see it.
So people could see that, anybody can see it, obviously, right?
Yes.
So if they have the WPA2 PSK, the PSK means what?
Pre-shared key.
Pre-shared key?
Yes.
So that's the strongest. So if I have that, there's no way somebody's going to compromise that.
A rule for me is man-made is man-hackable. So, but it is the most secure possible for your home wireless networking right now. Any other questions? All right, well, I'm going to ask you a couple questions, all right? All right. So, your name again?
Jack.
Jack, can you tell me what is a wireless access point?
It is the network device that connects to the Wi-Fi.
Yes, I mean, pretty close. It's the wireless device. It's an extension of my traditional network. It actually will let me, items that I don't have wireless connectivity built into them, I can now connect them to this device, and it actually extends them into the internet. All right. Any further questions? All right. If no further questions, right now we're going to go on break. It's a 10-minute break. And then after that break, we'll actually move into part 2 of the series, which is port forwarding. Anybody have anything else before we? All right, thanks for your participation.
Thank you.